My name is Maria. I come from Poland. I work as a maid in a big house. I go there 2 times every week. The house belongs to Ms. Sanchez. She is a kind woman, but she works very hard. She has no husband. She lives alone. I clean her house. I wash the dishes, clean the floor, and do the laundry. I like the house. It is big and bright. There is a small garden and a large terrace. On nice days, the sun shines there all morning. Ms. Sanchez has 1 son. His name is Daniel. He is around 30 years old. He does not have a job. He lives with some friends in another part of the city. Sometimes he comes to visit his mother. He comes early in the morning, sits on the sofa, and watches television. When the weather is good, he sits on the terrace and drinks beer. I see him often when I clean. He is quiet and does not talk much. He says hello, and that's all. He drinks many bottles of beer. I always carry the empty bottles to the basement. There are many beer cases there. The basement is dark and cold. I do not like going there, but it is my job. Ms. Sanchez works at a factory. She leaves the house early and comes home late. Sometimes she calls me when I am cleaning. She asks, "Maria, is Daniel at home? Is everything fine?" I always answer, "Yes, Ms. Sanchez, everything is fine." It is true most of the time. I respect Ms. Sanchez. She works very hard and she is always tired, but she never complains. She talks kindly to me and pays me on time. I feel lucky to have this job. In Poland, I worked in a small shop. Life was not easy. After my divorce, I came here to earn money. I send money to my daughter every month. She lives with my mother back home. I miss her every day. One morning, Daniel came to the kitchen while I was cleaning. He looked serious. He said, "Maria, I need your help." I stopped and looked at him. "What do you need?" I asked. He said, "I will go on a trip for a few weeks, but please don't tell my mother. She will worry too much. Just tell her I'm still here." I was surprised. "You want me to say you are at home?" I asked. He nodded. "Yes. Just tell her everything is okay. She always calls you to ask about me. Please, Maria." He looked at me with tired eyes. I did not want problems, but I felt sorry for him. So I said, "Okay, no problem." He smiled a little and thanked me. The next morning, I saw him leaving the house. He had a small bag with him. I thought maybe he really went on a trip. After that, I did not see him again. The days after that were quiet. I worked as usual. I cleaned the rooms, washed the dishes, and took the bottles to the basement. I did not hear the television anymore. The house felt empty, but I did not say anything. Ms. Sanchez still called me every evening. She asked the same question every time. "Maria, is Daniel at home?" I said, "Yes, Ms. Sanchez, everything is fine." It was a lie, but I told myself it was a small one. I did not want her to worry. After 2 weeks, Ms. Sanchez came home early from work. I was cleaning the kitchen. I was surprised to see her. She said, "Maria, I came early today. I wanted to see Daniel. Is he home?" I froze for a second and then said, "He went out this morning. Maybe he will come back soon." She sat down at the table. She looked very tired. "He never answers my calls," she said. "I don't know what is wrong. I just want him to find work. I can't take care of him forever." I felt sorry for her. I said, "He will be fine. Maybe he just needs time." She gave a small smile. "Maybe you are right, Maria," she said. Then she went to her room to rest. When I finished my work that day, I went down to the basement to put away some empty bottles. I turned on the light and saw that some beer cases were open. I saw some bottles missing. There were broken pieces of glass on the floor. I did not understand. Daniel was gone, but someone had been here. I cleaned the mess and threw away the broken glass. I felt a little nervous. Maybe Daniel came back for some bottles. Maybe he forgot something. I did not know. I tried not to think about it. The next few days were the same. Ms. Sanchez worked late, and I kept the house clean. Sometimes she left food on the table for Daniel. She thought he would come home while she was away. But every morning, the food was still there. I threw it away and said nothing. Each time the phone rang, I felt worried. I was afraid Ms. Sanchez would ask to speak with Daniel. When she called, I said he was sleeping or taking a shower. I did not like lying, but I had promised Daniel. One morning, when I came to the house, I saw the back door open. I thought maybe Ms. Sanchez forgot to close it. I called, "Hello? Is anyone home?" But there was no answer. The house was quiet. I checked the terrace, then went downstairs to the basement. This time, more bottles were missing. I felt afraid. I was sure Ms. Sanchez did not go there. She hated the basement. Who was taking the bottles? That evening, Ms. Sanchez called again. "Maria, is everything okay?" she asked. I wanted to tell her the truth, but I could not. "Yes, Ms. Sanchez," I said quietly. "Everything is fine. Daniel is here." I ended the call and sat down in the kitchen. My hands were shaking. I looked at the dark basement door and felt cold. I had promised to keep Daniel's secret. But now, I started to feel that the secret was growing bigger every day. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The next week felt longer than usual. I worked as always, but I could not stop thinking about the open basement and the missing bottles. Every time I went down there, I counted them. Each time, there were fewer. I started to lock the basement door after cleaning. Still, I felt nervous. One morning, when I came to the house, I saw a man near the back gate. He was tall and wore a dark jacket. I could not see his face. When I looked at him, he turned around and walked away quickly. My heart beat fast. I went inside and locked the door. The house was quiet and everything looked normal, but I could not stop thinking about that man. Later that day, Ms. Sanchez called me from work. "Maria, how is my son?" she asked, as always. I looked at the phone and felt my throat dry. "He is fine." "Ms. Sanchez," I said. "He was here this morning." She sounded happy. "Good," she said. "Tell him to answer my call sometimes." I smiled weakly and said, "Yes, I will tell him." After the call, I put down the phone and sighed. I was tired of lying. That evening, as I finished cleaning, I went to the terrace to bring the empty bottles. The air was cool and the sun was going down. I picked up the bottles and walked to the basement. When I turned on the light, I saw something that made me stop. The floor near the shelves was wet again. A few empty beer bottles stood in the corner. Someone had been drinking there. I looked around slowly. The air smelled of beer and dust. My hands were cold. I turned off the light and closed the door. I wanted to tell Ms. Sanchez everything, but I was afraid. She worked hard every day. She looked tired and sad each time she came home. I did not want to make her worry more. The next morning, Ms. Sanchez came home later than usual. Her face looked pale. "Maria," she said softly, "I got a strange message from Daniel last night. It came from an unknown number. He only wrote, 'Don't worry, I'm okay.' Nothing else." She looked at me with tired eyes. "Do you think something happened to him?" I felt her eyes on me. I wanted to tell the truth. I opened my mouth, but then I saw how tired she looked. "Maybe he just changed his number," I said quietly. "He will come soon." "Ms. Sanchez nodded slowly. "I hope so," she said. "He is my only family." When she left for work again, I sat down in the kitchen. I felt heavy and alone. I had told many small lies, but now they started to feel big. I didn't know what Daniel was doing or if he was even safe. A few days later, when I arrived at the house, I saw the front door open. I called out, "Ms. Sanchez?" But there was no answer. I walked inside. The lights were off. My shoes made small sounds on the floor. In the living room, something was different. The sofa was not in the same place, and one of the small tables was broken. I felt cold. I went to the kitchen. Some of the drawers were open. The house looked as if someone had searched through it. I quickly went outside and called Ms. Sanchez. "Ms. Sanchez, the door is open," I said. Her voice sounded worried. "What? Are you sure?" she asked. "Yes," said. "Some things are moved." She told me to wait outside until she came home. When she arrived, we went in together. She looked around in silence. Then she said, "The basement. We must check the basement." I followed her down the stairs. My hands were shaking. She opened the door, and we saw what I feared. Many beer cases were gone. There were empty spaces where the bottles had been. The floor was wet again. "Ms." Sanchez looked at me. "Maria, did you see anyone?" she asked. I said, "No, Ms. Sanchez. Only one time. A man near the gate." She sighed deeply and covered her face with her hands. "Maybe Daniel," she said softly. "Maybe he came here." I did not say anything. She looked around the basement again, then turned off the light. "I'll call the police if it happens again," she said. "But for now, we'll just clean this." I helped her carry the broken bottles to the bin. She didn't talk much. I could see she was worried. That night when I went home, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Daniel. Where was he? Why did he lie to his mother? Why did he ask me to keep this secret? I remembered his face that morning in the kitchen. He looked tired and afraid. Maybe he was in trouble. The next week, Ms. Sanchez worked longer hours. She looked older and sadder. "I don't understand," she said one evening. "Daniel used to call me every day. Now he doesn't. I only get short messages. Something is wrong." I tried to comfort her. "Maybe he is busy," I said, but my voice sounded weak. That same night when I finished cleaning, I decided to check the basement again. I opened the door slowly and turned on the light. My heart jumped. In the corner, there was a small pile of clothes and a blanket. It looked like someone had been sleeping there. I walked closer and saw an empty can of food, an old phone, and a dirty glass. I stepped back and felt my legs shake. I turned off the light and ran upstairs. I locked the basement door. Someone had been living there. Maybe Daniel. Maybe someone else. I didn't know. The next day when Ms. Sanchez called, I could not lie anymore. My voice trembled. "Ms. Sanchez," I said. "I think Daniel was here. In the basement. Maybe he came at night." There was silence on the phone. Then she said, "What do you mean?" I told her everything. The missing bottles, the open doors, the clothes, the food. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said quietly, "Thank you, Maria. I will come home soon." That evening she came back early. We went to the basement together. The clothes were still there, but the blanket was gone. Ms. Sanchez looked around the room, her hands shaking. "He was here," she said softly. "He has no money. He must be hiding." I stood beside her. I did not know what to say. She looked at me and said, "Thank you for telling me the truth, Maria. I wish I had known sooner." That night, Ms. Sanchez sat in the living room, waiting for her son. She kept looking at the door. but he did not come. I finished my work quietly and left the house. Outside, the street was dark and quiet. I looked back at the big white house. I thought about Daniel, about the secret I had kept, and about how small lies could grow and hurt good people. I walked home slowly, wishing I had told the truth from the start. That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking about Ms. Sanchez and her son. I thought about the basement and the empty beer bottles. I thought about the man I saw near the gate. Everything felt strange. I wanted this secret to end. I wanted peace again. The next morning, Ms. Sanchez called me early. Her voice was quiet. "Maria," she said, "you don't have to come today. I am not feeling well." I asked if she wanted me to bring something, but she said no. I stayed at home, but I could not rest. My heart felt heavy. I worried about her. In the afternoon, I decided to go to the house anyway. I took the bus and walked the last street on foot. When I reached the house, I saw the gate half open. The lights were off, but I could hear voices inside. I stopped and listened. A man was talking. His voice sounded angry. Then I heard Ms. Sanchez. Her voice was soft, but sad. I pushed the door open slowly and went inside. Ms. Sanchez was sitting at the table. Across from her sat Daniel. He looked very thin, and his clothes were dirty. When he saw me, he stood up. "Maria," he said. His eyes looked tired. "Ms. Sanchez looked at me too. Her hands were shaking. "He came this morning," she said. "He was in the basement again." Daniel looked down. "I had no money," he said. "I was living with some people. They took everything from me. I had nowhere to go. I came here at night to drink, to sleep. I didn't want you to see me like that." Ms. Sanchez started crying. "You should have told me," she said. "You are my son." Daniel said nothing. He looked ashamed. He turned to me. "Thank you, Maria, for not telling her too soon," he said. "I just needed time." I looked at both of them. I felt sorry for them. Ms. Sanchez worked hard every day. She wanted to help her son, but he was lost. I said quietly, "Ms. Sanchez, maybe now everything can be better. He is here. You can help each other." Daniel nodded. "I will try," he said. "I promise I will change." His mother looked at him, her face full of pain and love. "I hope so," she whispered. That evening, Ms. Sanchez asked me to stay for dinner. The three of us sat at the table. The food was simple, soup and bread. The air was quiet. Daniel ate slowly. He said he would look for a job soon. Ms. Sanchez did not say much, but she seemed calmer. After dinner, I helped clean the table. Ms. Sanchez came to me and said softly, "Maria, thank you. I was blind. I thought my son was fine. I didn't see the truth. I know you wanted to protect me. I forgive you." Her eyes were kind but tired. I wanted to cry. "I only did what I thought was right," I said. "I didn't want to hurt you." She took my hand. "You are a good woman. Sometimes lies start small, but they grow big." I learned that today. The next few weeks were different. Daniel stayed in the house. He helped his mother with small things. He cleaned the garden and painted the fence. I saw him often when I came to work. He was quiet but polite. Sometimes he carried the heavy boxes for me. "Ms." Sanchez smiled more. She looked less tired. She still worked in the factory, but when she came home, she and Daniel sat on the terrace together. They talked and laughed. It was a small change, but it felt warm. One day when I was cleaning the kitchen, Daniel came in with 2 cups of tea. He said, "Maria, I want to say thank you. I know you tried to help. I was lost, but now I am trying to be better." I smiled and said, "That's good, Daniel. Your mother loves you very much." He nodded. "I know. I didn't see it before. I only thought about myself. Now I see how much I hurt her." He looked out the window. "I want to make her proud." I looked at him and felt hope. He seemed honest. I wanted to believe he would change. A few months passed. The house felt brighter. There were no more empty beer bottles on the terrace. The basement was clean again. Ms. Sanchez started baking on weekends. Sometimes she gave me a piece of cake to take home. "For your daughter," she said with a smile. One afternoon, when I was about to leave, Ms. Sanchez called me from the terrace. "Maria," she said, "come here for a moment." I walked out and saw her sitting with Daniel. There were flowers on the table and 2 cups of coffee. She said, "I have good news. Daniel found a job in a small shop. It's not much, but it's a start." I smiled. "That's wonderful," I said. Daniel looked shy but happy. "Yes," he said. "It's a small store near the market. I work in the mornings. I feel better now." I looked at them both and felt peace. For the first time in many weeks, everything looked normal. That evening when I walked home, I thought about everything that had happened. I remembered the first day I met Daniel. I remembered how I carried his empty beer bottles to the basement. I remembered how I kept his secret. It started as a small thing, but it became something heavy. Still, in the end, it brought the truth. Now, Ms. Sanchez was smiling again. Daniel was working. And I had learned something important. Secrets can grow like shadows in a house. But when we tell the truth, light comes in again. The next time Ms. Sanchez called me, she did not ask, "Is Daniel home?" She only said, "Maria, how are you? How is your daughter?" Her voice sounded light almost happy. I smiled and said, "We are both fine, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you." When I put down the phone, I looked out of the window. The evening sun made the sky soft and gold. I thought of my daughter in Poland, my small apartment, and the quiet work that waited for me the next day. Life was still simple, but now it felt calm again. The secret was gone. The house was clean. And for the first time, I felt I had done something good. Not just as a maid, but as a person. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English.